So my job at the university is to direct our undergraduate climate change studies minor program. I had a chance to get involved with that at the start when we were developing it. One of the main motivations for it was that we have a renowned Nobel laureate on campus, Steve Running, who's a climate scientist, and he used to speak around campus about the science of climate change, projected impacts, and where we're heading as a society. And became clear that we needed to develop some kind of curriculum for our students for them to understand the science and to navigate that issue and get involved in it. So we created a minor program that would be open to students all across campus that would build students' literacy in this topic. And we knew that it was important for them to not only have a grounding in the science of climate change, but also if students were interested in affecting the trends that we're on, to understand society. So to consider the ethics of the issue, consider different policies, economics, how we communicate about it, the rhetoric that's used, why we are so different across different groups in terms of our understanding and concern about the issue. And then to engage students also in solutions. We have an internship program and opportunities for students to work with faculty on applied research projects. And so the minor program has those three different areas: the science of climate change, societal dimensions, and solutions. And we attract students from across campus. Right now we have 80 students in the minor, and they represent more than 20 different majors. So we really encourage students when they're doing the climate change minor to get involved with projects that are personally important or interesting to them. Zach Brown, who entered the program as a freshman, he took our introductory course. And actually at the start of that class, he came up to me and asked if he could miss the last 2 weeks of the course. And he wanted to go to Copenhagen. And when he was there, we asked him to Skype back to our class so we could learn from him while he was there. So he did that. We had our class, 80 students there, and there was Zach. And his message back to us was saying that it was really complicated to try to address this at that level, at that scale. And what he really was taking away was that change was going to happen locally, back in his community, in his home state. He's from Bozeman. So when Zach came back to campus, he worked on campus energy issues. He was interested in increasing energy efficiency on campus and realized that that was only going to happen if we got the incentives right in terms of allowing our university to reap the benefits of what they put into the buildings to make them more efficient. And that was an issue that had to be addressed actually in Helena, that was addressed through the Montana University system. So he actually wrote a legislative bill when he was a student and went on to become a state representative when he graduated and got that bill passed through the Montana legislature. So that was a student who was interested in energy and used his abilities in rulemaking, diplomacy to create legislative bills that helped ultimately to reduce energy and to improve the economics of campuses. I have another student, Hope Radford, whose interest in climate change centered more on agriculture. And when she was a student, she worked on our local foods movement on campus. She started the campus's first local farmers market to bring foods on campus for students to purchase that were grown locally. And she worked on getting it so that students could use their meal plan to buy the food at that farmers market. She went on to get the university to sign a Real Foods Challenge, which would commit the university to purchasing a certain amount of food from local farms. And now she's off doing the Peace Corps. She's in Nepal and is working with farmers on sustainable agriculture internationally. Another student is Emily Jensen. So she is a social work major doing the climate change minor. And her interest has been in transportation and actually has been working on the justice issues around transportation to ensure that it's safe and affordable for people. When she was a student, she interned at Free Cycles in Missoula. And since she graduated, she's now a program director there, and she's been developing curriculum to teach people how to bike safely and to make a connection to how we design our cities and our transportation to make sure it's safe. She's worked with the Salish and Kootenai tribes and now has a mobile workshop up there to teach about biking, to fix bikes and provide bikes up there. I have another student, Gavin Borgias, who's a wildlife biology major, and he's always had a personal passion for making music. For his senior project, he combined the two interests with wildlife, climate change, and music, and wrote several songs. And it was a way for him to really grapple with the complexity of the climate change issue and some of his own fears and worries about the future through music. And they're beautiful songs. One is about the current times and the need for a protest movement. Another song is Into the Future, looking at kind of post-catastrophe and seeing through to a better future beyond that. And he's able to combine really poetry and music with the things that he's been thinking about through his 4 years here. When students study about climate change, there's often comes a point when they get quite discouraged when they look at current impacts and what's projected for the future. And in our introductory class, I've started to actually have a class now on hope at that moment. And what's interesting when thinking about hope is there's different definitions. And the way I like to think about it is not hope for a certain kind of outcome, like that we will reach certain targets, that we will implement certain policies that will help the future climate, but hope in terms of that we will find the right way to respond in a given moment. And there are actually people who study the theory of hope. There's this man, Charles Snyder, who has put forward this hope theory, and I really like his theory. And in his thinking, hope encompasses two different components. So the first one has to do with agency, a sense of a belief that one has the ability to create change. And the other component has to do with pathways, seeing steps to move forward towards a goal. And in terms of teaching about climate change, these are two pieces that I like to bring together in our climate change program. So give students an opportunity to think about different pathways forward to address climate change, and then giving them experiences and opportunities to build their own sense of agency, their own sense of ability to be involved in that change. I think one way to build hope is actually getting involved. There are a lot of campus groups that students can become a part of. Missoula is full of community organizations that are working on issues around transportation, energy, homelessness, agriculture. There are many ways to get involved on campus and in our community. I think it's important to align oneself with people who are positive. It's really easy to be negative, and negativity breeds negativity. And in fact, our brains don't work as well when we're negative, when we're fearful. We shut down to creative thinking. We get more black and white in our thinking of issues. So I think being around positive thinking and being around people who are trying to make a difference can help actually bring hope. In terms of advice for young people, one thing I think is really important to keep in mind is the privilege of one's education and the opportunities that come from being an educated person also comes with responsibility. So young people have the chance to learn about climate science, learn about policy, get engaged, but then there's also the opportunity to use that education in whatever way that person feels right for that person. But it's a privileged place to be someone with an education from the United States. People think about careers in climate change. My sense is they might think of two different kinds of careers. One involves science and research, and the other might be activism, right? Getting people mobilized to stand up and march and promote change. And those are certainly two options, but there's so many more different ways to engage. As I spoke about with our students that go through the climate change minor here, we have students from almost 25 different majors, and each of them finds a way to be involved. I think there are opportunities for those who are writers, those who are policymakers, technical engineers, musicians, social work people. So it's just about aligning the work that you choose to do with an awareness of this issue. And I think taking on this issue actually might even create opportunities for people.